Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are taking an excavator to the emotional foundation of a relationship that was, well, supposed to be simple. We are diving deep into the meticulous yet ultimately futile emotional architecture designed by Farrah Langley, the successful mediator, and Xavier Kane, the executive attorney.
Right.
They spent, what was it, 11 months trying to keep love out of a purely physical equation.
Yeah, and this is just a spectacular case study for you, the listener, because it charts the precise moment when two highly organized, professionally disciplined people realize they cannot simply mediate or, litigate their way out of true emotional resonance.
Right.
We're analyzing the documents that chronicle their affair. This partnership built on past pain, really strict rules, and just overwhelming chemistry to see exactly how those carefully constructed walls, well, came crashing down.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start by establishing the parameters and I guess the profound traumas that created these fortresses in the first place. We have two individuals who had their hearts, frankly, annihilated by trust issues, which is why they initially sought only sex, right?
Exactly. For Farrah Langley, the pain was absolute. She was a woman who genuinely believed in happily ever after.
Yeah.
Dedicated to her college sweetheart, Dustin Holloway. Her trauma wasn't just a breakup. It was the realization, the shock, that Dustin had been living a complete double life for 2 years.
2 years.
2 years, including a mistress and a child. I mean, that is the highest form of gaslighting and betrayal you can imagine.
That kind of deep betrayal, it doesn't just hurt. It fundamentally resets your entire belief system about stability, about trust.
Absolutely.
The sources describe her needing a full year just for the initial hurt to even start to dissipate.
Right. A whole year.
And by age 27, she had shifted completely from this hopeful romantic to someone who was cautious, wary, and adamant against surrender. She basically concluded that nothing was forever, especially a man's love.
And you see how that profound caution defines her professional life too, don't you? She becomes a mediator.
Ah, interesting.
Someone who focuses on establishing clear, enforceable terms, resolving conflict based on mutually agreed upon boundaries. So in her personal life, she applies this exact same professional control to keep the chaos out.
Right.
Builds this absolute steel fortress guarded by the terms of her non-commitment.
Okay, so that's Farrah. Now, let's contrast that with Xavier Kane, the executive attorney. His trauma was maybe less visceral in the same way, but just as corrosive to his faith in romance.
His trauma was more about intellectualized manipulation. While he was at Harvard Law, he fell hard for this woman, Diane Witherspoon,
Okay.
only to realize eventually that her affection was entirely transactional.
Oh, okay. How so?
She only sought his emotional and, crucially, his academic support to ace her law exams.
Ouch.
Yeah. Once the grades were secure, the source says she dropped him like a hot potato.
Wow. For an attorney, right? Someone whose world relies on logic, contracts, agreements. That kind of deceit must feel like a profound violation.
Exactly. It teaches him that love is a risk, where the terms can just be unilaterally changed the moment the other party gets what they wanted.
So his solution wasn't just personal caution, it was bigger.
It was institutionalizing the commitment phobia. He and 5 godbrothers, Uriel, Virgil, Winston, York, and Zion, they established the infamous Bachelors in Demand Club.
Right. I remember this group.
Yeah, and this wasn't just a casual friend group. It was a kind of societal statement, a mutual agreement to enjoy their single lives with, quote, no plans of settling down. And crucially, to guard their hearts against future strategic manipulation, like what he experienced with Diane.
So we start this deep dive with two really high-functioning, controlling professionals. Farrah wants to mediate the relationship to keep it contained. Xavier wants to apply, contractual law to keep it non-binding.
Yeah, basically. And the psychological mission for us, for you listening, is to watch what happens when those professional disciplines are applied to pure, chaotic desire. It's fascinating.
Okay, the stage is set then for the failed agreement. Now, Farrah, knowing her own vulnerability after Dustin, she's the one who quickly instigates the sex-only boundary after meeting Xavier at the racetrack cafe.
Yes, she sets the terms first. And Xavier agrees immediately because, as the text notes, his desires were identical to hers.
Yeah, convenient.
Very. It allowed them both to believe they had reached this perfect symmetrical arrangement. Occasional bed partners, zero emotional overcrowding, no possessiveness, absolutely no nuisance.
It sounds like the perfect equation for two commitment phobes on paper.
Exactly. And for 11 months, they were remarkably successful at maintaining that purely physical contract. But, and this is key, the source material makes it crystal clear that the physical relationship wasn't just sex. It was overwhelming, endless desire driving them out of control and over the edge.
This intensity seems like the critical variable, doesn't it? The thing that destabilized the whole equation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We cannot look at this relationship purely through a psychological lens without acknowledging the sheer chemical primal power being described. Farrah actually refers to Xavier as a pleasure-producing maniac who delivered just as much as he procured. I mean, this level of physiological synchronization it's extraordinarily rare.
And the specifics really matter here, don't they? The chroniclers detail her reaching 3 orgasms in less than an hour and climbing greedily toward a fourth. This isn't just, great technique. This feels more like a mutual addiction.
It does.
Where maybe the intensity serves as a distraction from the underlying emotional void they're both trying to avoid.
Precisely. They are reinforcing these incredibly deep neurochemical pathways that are inherently deeply intimate. Think about the details provided. Xavier's ability to pull out torrential sensations and, critically, emotions she preferred kept under wraps.
So he wasn't just physically attuned.
No. He didn't just know her body. He knew her vulnerabilities. His signature moves, lifting her hips to thrust deeper into her, her reserve spot, the recognizable Xavier Kane growl. These things indicate a profound, almost telepathic attunement.
That shared, intense, primal secret. That's where the emotional wall starts to weaken, isn't it?
It has to. You cannot share that degree of intimacy for 11 months without some form of psychological transference occurring. It's almost inevitable.
I think that 11-month mark is really crucial. For any kind of casual arrangement, 11 months is, it's a lifetime.
It really is.
You move way past novelty and into routine, and routine breeds comfort. And comfort, I guess, is the enemy of the no-strings-attached contract.
Beautifully put.
And that's exactly where the sources say the cracks start to appear, driven primarily by Farrah's slipping emotional control.
We see the mediator losing control of her own terms. She starts anticipating his visits, wondering what he was doing when they were apart. Yeah. And the most telling sign is that regression. She went from the guarded professional mediator to getting antsy when he didn't call and acting like a bubbly 16-year-old when he did.
Wow. That shift from controlled professional to giddy teenager, that's pretty clear evidence her mental firewall has failed.
Totally breached. But the slippage wasn't just Farrah's side of the equation. Xavier, Mr. Bachelor in Demand himself, was also exhibiting clear signs of subconscious possessiveness, even though they were strictly no strings.
Really? How did that manifest?
Well, he admitted it to himself internally, that their exclusivity was sort of understood. He hadn't dated anyone else, and he knew she hadn't either.
Okay.
And he felt this unexplained degree of possessiveness toward her, preferring to keep her all to himself. Now, that desire to unilaterally claim an unbound partner means the underlying contract is already dead, doesn't it?
Yeah, the lawyer in him might have kept the terms on paper.
Right.
But the man in him had already filed a claim, emotionally speaking.
Exactly. So the breaking point becomes inevitable. Farrah realizes her body had, quote, betrayed her. Xavier had become her weakness. So she decides to end things before things got messy and complicated, the very outcome both of them had desperately sworn to avoid from the start.
So they terminated the relationship not because it was bad,
No.
but because it was too good and therefore too dangerous for them.
Precisely. They were performing a kind of preemptive amputation on the relationship before the inevitable growth of love could inflict the kind of pain they had both experienced so devastatingly before. It's actually quite tragic, a self-inflicted wound.
Okay, so they successfully cut the cord, but you argue that the silence that followed wasn't relief, it was more like a painful withdrawal.
Oh, definitely.
What evidence from the source material tells us this separation was actually an emotional failure, not a successful severing?
The evidence is pervasive throughout that 6-month separation period. Look at Farrah first. She admits she is still trying to work him out of her system and felt genuinely addicted.
Addiction. Okay, that's a strong word.
It is. This isn't just missing a boyfriend. This feels like physiological withdrawal described in the text. And the detail about his scent is so evocative, so powerful.
What was that again?
She couldn't wash his scent out of her sheets, apparently. And eventually, she just stopped trying and began breathing him in nightly. She had, institutionalized her grief and her addiction into this nightly ritual.
Wow. And the fact that she hadn't slept with another man since him. That's the final proof, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Her carefully constructed boundary against commitment completely failed, and her desire for any other casual encounter just vanished. She was completely monopolized by the ghost of Xavier.
And Xavier was equally stagnant, which arguably is far more alarming for a founding member of the Bachelors in Demand Club.
Right, that goes against the whole ethos.
Totally. He realized he hadn't been, quote, gung-ho about any woman getting into his pants since Farrah. He couldn't shake the lasting thoughts of her, a complete deviation from his entire single lifestyle philosophy.
And the source mentioned he did consider a casual hookup at one point.
Yes, with Beth Logan, a flight attendant. But the sources make it absolutely clear he viewed it purely as a substitute for Farrah.
Ah!
That is not bachelor freedom. That is active mourning. He wasn't guarding his heart anymore. He had accidentally sealed it shut to everyone but her.
And this is complicated by their shared friend group, right?
Yes, very much so. Farrah's friend, Natalie, who's married to Donovan, one of the other bachelors, well, former bachelor now, she noted that Xavier hadn't asked about Farrah even once, despite their proximity in the friend group.
That's silence.
That public silence suggests extreme self-control and repression, right? Trying desperately to maintain the facade of indifference, which only compounds the internal struggle he must have been going through.
The stagnation, the shared quiet misery, is exactly why their collision in New York is so critical. They just happen to run into each other at a wine shop.
Right. And the environment is immediately fraught with tension. Xavier has a bottle of wine, which, given their history, symbolizes a potential booty call.
And Farrah immediately jumps to that conclusion.
Instantly. She assumes it's for someone else, probably Beth Logan. And her reaction is instantaneous, intense jealousy. She thinks he reverted back to his old ways fairly easily.
So her jealousy, despite them having no official relationship status anymore, proves two things.
Yes. One, the 6 months did absolutely nothing to diminish her feelings.
Right.
And two, the mere sight of him potentially moving on is intolerable to her.
And the narrative sets up this beautiful parallel with Farrah's work at that moment, doesn't it?
It does. She's in New York mediating this highly emotional case involving two high school best friends, Carrie Shaw and Lori Byers, who are fighting over their cosmetic company, CL Cosmetics.
So she's helping others resolve conflict and prioritize emotional bonds.
Exactly. It's helping them see past the fight to the friendship beneath.
While she's completely wrestling with her own messy, unresolved history with Xavier, the irony must have been palpable.
Oh, the text implies she was very aware of it. And the immediate context of their meeting provides the perfect test for her boundaries. Just before seeing Xavier, Farrah had successfully resisted dinner with Frank McGraw.
Who was he again?
A professional contact, a skilled negotiator apparently, but described as low on the totem pole, who was relentlessly trying to get her into bed despite her repeated rejections.
Okay, so she kept her business boundaries intact against a man she didn't care for. She proved she could do it.
Yes. But then Xavier, the man she's chemically addicted to, immediately asks her to dinner, suggesting casually, hey, we can still be friends.
Oh, the friends suggestion. Always tricky.
Very. So Farrah has just proven she can enforce her rules against undesirable advances. The burning question becomes, can she enforce them against the one man who completely sets her on fire?
She must be questioning the possibility, right? Can two people transition from that kind of intensely primal lover status?
Yeah, after almost a year of it.
To just casual friends? It seems impossible. The boundaries she sets for Frank McGraw are probably useless against Xavier Kane.
Exactly. The rules don't apply equally.
Okay, let's move into the strategic escalation, because this section really details Xavier's brilliant, maybe almost manipulative tactical shift. He goes from booty call partner to potential suitor. They go on their first real date to a Chinese restaurant.
And this is a major structural change in their dynamic. It's no longer about convenience and privacy in a bedroom. It's a public, planned outing. Xavier even remembers that Farrah enjoyed this particular restaurant, which is a nice touch, and he makes sure they are seated by a fireplace, adding this unexpected layer of intimacy and ambiance that was totally absent from their previous, purely physical dynamic.
And this date functions almost like Xavier's data gathering exercise, doesn't it?
In a way, yes. He finally observes Farrah in her professional element, hearing her talk about her job as a mediator, her focus on resolution over simply being right or wrong. He's gathering crucial non-sexual intelligence about the woman he now seems determined to claim.
Knowledge he wasn't interested in during their pillow talk sessions before.
Precisely. But despite the perhaps non-sexual intent of the date, the underlying sexual tension is described as astronomical.
Still there.
Oh, very much so. It's a key element of their ongoing addiction. Xavier is apparently grateful his briefcase covers his lap in the hotel lobby, and he struggles with a persistent erection throughout dinner. He has to admit to himself the undeniable truth. Nothing is as good as you.
So he's playing the long game strategically, while battling this intense, primal urge to just revert to the old ways immediately.
Oh, yes. And that long game accelerates dramatically during the car ride when they're heading toward a Broadway show. Xavier initiates physical contact strategically.
Ow!
He wraps her close to share his heat against the New York cold, a seemingly innocent gesture.
But loaded.
Absolutely. This tactile proximity is a calculated risk. The source says the moment he touches her, a shot of something akin to hot liquid fire exploded through his veins. He's pushing the physical boundary under the guise of chivalry or concern.
Yeah.
And this leads immediately into that explosive kiss.
Right, the kiss in the car. Described as pure, high-risk, high-stakes behavior.
Totally. She wraps her arms around his neck. He feels his erection poking her backside through her coat. He immediately moves to unbutton her coat and sweater, exposing her bra, which happens to be blue, his favorite color.
Wow.
The sources detail him lowering his head and sucking her hardened nipple. It's an act of profound, aggressive intimacy happening right there in the vehicle.
And this is where the driver comes in.
Yes, the situational absurdity is great. The driver, Jules, arrives at the hotel right as the scene is escalating.
Understatement.
Right. And Xavier's instant controlled response is so telling. He asks Jules to circle the block one more time.
He's literally buying seconds.
Crucial seconds. Trying to regain control of the moment, realizing he almost went too far, too fast, maybe blew his strategic approach.
I mean, can you imagine the sheer professionalism required of Jules, the driver? Circling the block while his boss is nearly tearing his date's clothes off in the back seat?
That is a testament to Xavier's focused desperation, I think, and the sheer undeniable power of their chemistry.
But even after that intense encounter, Farrah manages to pull back somehow.
She does. She rejects his invitation for a nightcap, asserting she needs to end things for her peace of mind. She's proving to herself maybe that she could still resist him, despite the chemical storm they just created. She attempts to reestablish control over the situation.
And she does this by proposing a limitation, right, a compromise.
Yes, the holiday fling, a temporary indulgence strictly through New Year's. She wants to contain the chaos, give them a clear expiration date, trying to mediate the inevitable conclusion, just like she does professionally.
But Xavier sees his opening.
And he instantly rejects the concept of limitation. This is his defining strategic moment. He doesn't just counter, he demands an unlimited affair.
Unlimited, what does that mean in this context?
It means long-term exclusiveness, but critically, it must involve non-sexual activities. Dinner, movies, business functions, activities out in the open.
Wait, why is the demand for public non-sexual activity so critical here?
Because it shifts the goalposts entirely. He's not just demanding her body in private anymore, he's demanding her time and her public image. He explicitly wants to project the image that he is taken.
Why?
Specifically so other women won't approach him. He's effectively closing the door on the bachelor's in demand lifestyle, but he frames it cleverly as protection for himself, not as a commitment to her. It's subtle.
And then he goes for the kill shot, emotionally.
He executes the real power move.
Yeah.
He weaponizes her deepest, most painful trauma against her. He baits her. He suggests she only wants limitations because she is, one, afraid of falling in love, or even worse too, still pining away for your ex-husband.
Oh, that's low, hitting both her fear of commitment and her absolute hatred for Dustin.
It's brilliant, calculated cruelty in a way. Farrah despises the idea that she could still be emotionally tethered to Dustin, the man who ruined her life. She is apparently so furious at the suggestion.
That she agrees.
She agrees to the unlimited, long-term public affair simply to prove Xavier wrong on both counts. She walks right into the exact long-term dynamic he needed to engineer.
Wow. The mediator agrees to a contract under duress and severe emotional provocation. She thinks she's fighting him, but she's actually conceding everything he asked for.
Exactly. But Xavier isn't finished with his tactical maneuvers just yet.
What else does he do?
Okay, so the very night Farrah agrees to this new unlimited affair, they're at his Long Island home. They have the convenience, the privacy, the intense physical attraction is obviously still there.
Right. The stage is set.
And yet, Xavier deliberately does not sleep with her.
He doesn't, after all that.
No. He prioritizes prep work for a client, Cameron Cody, and leaves early in the morning.
That's calculated psychological warfare, isn't it? Why deny the physical reward when it was finally presented to him on his terms, especially when sex had been the entire foundation of the relationship for so long?
This is the definitive shift in control. It demonstrates the reversal of expectation. For 11 months, their entire currency was sex. By denying the expected reward now, Xavier forces Farrah to question his motives.
Oh, okay.
He makes her realize that, for the first time ever, despite her physical availability and their agreement, they hadn't made love. He's establishing a new paradigm, that their connection is now about more than just the bedroom.
He's forcing her to focus on his non-sexual value, his respect, his capacity for self-control.
Yes, which is exactly what Dustin never offered her. He's subtly, strategically proving that he is not Dustin Holloway. He's playing a different game entirely.
He's essentially saying, I value the relationship we are building outside the sheets more than instant gratification. That is exactly what a woman deeply traumatized by betrayal needs to see, isn't it? That control and respect matter more than just raw desire.
It dismantles her primary psychological defense. The idea that men only want one thing from her. Xavier's showing her, not telling her, that he's different.
Okay, so the terms are shifted, the emotional architecture is definitely wobbling now. Let's look at how the external world forces the final confrontation and, ultimately, the surrender. A running theme is the shadow of the Bachelors in Demand Club.
Right. The club is the structural symbol of Xavier's old life, his old identity. The godbrothers, Uriel, Virgil, Winston, York, Zion, they're constantly reminding him, implicitly or explicitly, of their code.
And things are changing within the club, too.
Yes. We see Uriel's has already married, providing a precedent for leaving the club. And Zion is navigating a complex paternity revelation, a secret known only to the brothers. These events show that even their fortress of commitment phobia is under siege by, well, reality in adult life.
And Xavier's focus visibly shifts away from the club and towards Farrah.
Absolutely. At the Morgan and Lena Steele party, which is a big social event, one of his godbrothers, Virgil, actually notes Xavier is acting almost as bad as Uriel, meaning Xavier has gone from the epitome of bachelorhood to displaying visible signs of, let's say, domestication and commitment in the eyes of his closest peers. He's changed.
And this party provides a crucial test for Xavier's new loyalty, doesn't it, with Marty Gaucher?
Yes, it's the perfect litmus test. Yeah. Marty Gaucher, a former short-term lover and also an attorney, approaches him. She represents Xavier's past life, trying to pull him back into that old, casual dynamic.
And Marty goes straight for Farrah's weak spot, trying to inject doubt and shame into the situation.
Right. She says, apparently quite publicly, everybody knows Farrah Langley couldn't hold on to her husband. I mean, talk about a direct attack on Farrah's deepest insecurity and trauma.
So this is the moment of truth for Xavier. How does he respond?
Instantly and definitively, cementing his loyalty. He responds, "It tells me the man was a damn fool." He publicly defends Farrah, turns his back completely on Marty, and actually leaves Virgil, his godbrother, to handle the former lover. This act of unflinching public loyalty is the starkest possible contrast to Dustin Holloway, the man who betrayed Farrah privately and publicly. It's basically an emotional promise made out loud.
And at the same time, Farrah is experiencing her own professional breakthrough, which acts as this powerful narrative mirror.
Exactly. She successfully mediates the Carrie Laurie case, helping these best friends realize that their underlying emotional bond, their friendship, was more important than the money fight instigated by Laurie's manipulative husband, Rudolph Byers.
So intellectually, she's reinforcing the idea that emotional bonds should conquer external interference. She's teaching others to choose love and connection over cynical manipulation.
Yes, all while still struggling profoundly to apply that exact same lesson to herself and Xavier. The irony is thick, and the text suggests she feels it.
Then comes the final blow to her emotional guard, the catalyst. She finds Marty Gaucher's business card in Xavier's jacket pocket.
Right. And not just the card, but it has, "Call me, you won't regret it," scrolled on the back.
Oh, boy.
This discovery is not just finding evidence of potential flirting. For Farrah, it is total re-traumatization. She instantly flashes back to the initial signs of Dustin's cheating that she had missed or ignored.
So the fear is immediately validated in her mind.
Completely. And she reacts purely from that place of trauma. Her professional control, her mediation skills, they're gone. She wakes Xavier up and demands he leave. She's acting on raw, primal pain.
But Xavier, understanding her history, knows exactly where the wound is located, right? He doesn't react defensively in the typical way.
No. Instead of denying he kept the card or lying about Marty, which might be the expected defense, he confronts her emotional reaction head-on. It's another strategic masterstroke.
What does he say?
He bypasses the card itself entirely and attacks the underlying fear. You're jealous.
Oof.
Very. He uses her jealousy as irrefutable proof that she cares far too much to simply be a casual partner anymore, that she can no longer deny the depth of her feelings. This is his ultimate calculated gambit to force the truth out.
And he pushes it further, doesn't he? Demanding the real admission.
He does. He pushes the ultimate question, stating his own feelings plainly. The fact that no other woman interests me because I love you, you love me back, you're just afraid to admit it.
He puts it all out there.
All of it. He states definitively that the sex between them is simply too profound, too powerful to exist without some heavy-duty love thrown into the mix. He connects the physical intensity directly to the emotional truth she's been denying.
And this forces Farrah's complete surrender.
It does. She finally realizes in that moment that Xavier is not operating from a place of betrayal or manipulation like Dustin. He's trustworthy. He deliberately balanced the physical and emotional aspects of their dates. He publicly defended her honor. She recognizes that her deep-seated fear of him being just another Dustin was unfounded. He'd proven himself different.
The walls just collapse entirely then.
Completely. She joins him in the shower, which feels like a return to a primal, cleansing space, a vulnerable space. And that is where she finally admits the truth she'd been running from for, well, almost a year and a half cumulatively. I love you, Xavier. I've been too scared to admit it to myself.
The mediator has finally resolved her own internal conflict.
Beautifully put, yes.
Yeah.
And the ultimate act of intimacy that follows is highly symbolic of this total surrender.
What happens?
During sex, Xavier suggests they abandon condoms, making love without any barriers.
Okay.
Now, the text emphasizes this is not merely about procreation. It's framed as a complete psychological fulfillment, mingling his essence with hers, sharing pleasure completely and fully with nothing held back.
So this action signals the total removal of all walls, physical and emotional.
Exactly. And Farrah, the woman who had feared all commitment because of the devastating 2-year double life of her ex-husband, agrees immediately. No hesitation.
That's huge. She's moved from a place of profound mistrust and needing physical protection to a place of absolute naked vulnerability with him.
It demonstrates unequivocally that their bond has now surpassed all the rules, all the boundaries, all the trauma they spent so long building and enforcing. The original contract is officially torn up and replaced by genuine, hard-won mutual trust.
So after all that struggle, this year-long battle between these highly controlled professionals and their overwhelming passion, what is a final tangible outcome described in the sources?
6 months after that confrontation with the business card, Farrah and Xavier are married.
Married? Oh.
Planning their honeymoon in Hawaii, no less. And Xavier confirms quite explicitly that he has no regrets about leaving the Bachelors and Demand Club.
So the club lost a founding member to the one force they couldn't legislate against, love.
Precisely. Love won out over the bylaws.
Okay, let's distill this. The key takeaway nuggets for you, the listener, here seem incredibly potent. First, commitment issues are almost always rooted directly in unaddressed past pain, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Xavier's experience being used by Diane and Farrah's devastating betrayal by Dustin, those were the absolute bedrock foundations of their initial rules and avoidance.
Second, the intense longevity of a supposedly casual affair, especially reaching 11 months like this one did, it almost always signals a deeper emotional resonance that just cannot be contained by simple labels or rules.
Right, that addiction they both felt, that inability to move on, that's the proof the relationship was always deeper than the surface label they gave it.
Third, emotional surrender, like what they both eventually experienced, requires a complete shift in self-perception, doesn't it?
Definitely. Farrah had to come to believe she was worthy of a man who was genuinely respectful and trustworthy, not just another cheater. And Xavier had to realize his worth wasn't tied to helping someone ace exams or maintaining his bachelor status, but in genuine connection.
And finally, Xavier's success in winning her over, if you want to call it that, was really based on strategic, patient escalation.
Yes, it wasn't passive. He didn't just wait for her to come around. He actively engineered the relationship shift. He moved activities outside the bedroom. He provided consistent, demonstrable loyalty, especially with the Marty Gaucher incident. And ultimately, he had the courage to confront Farrah's deepest fear, head on, the fear that she was already in love with him.
It's just a fascinating look at how logic, rules, professional discipline, how they all ultimately fail in the face of overwhelming chemical attraction and deep, undeniable compatibility.
Yeah, their story provides such a powerful demonstration that authentic, intense chemistry often overrides even the most meticulously planned psychological defense mechanisms we put up. They tried so hard to be sensible, they tried desperately to be safe. But true compatibility is inherently disruptive, isn't it?
It seems so. We watched two people desperately try to categorize their feelings to prevent future pain. Xavier, who once vowed never to give his heart away after Diane, found himself planning a romantic proposal after being forced to confront the meaning behind a simple business card.
Right. And Farrah, who only wanted a reliable bed partner after Dustin shattered her world, found herself agreeing to marriage just 6 months after admitting her love.
So if a relationship that started as this highly functional, mutually satisfying booty call dynamic could evolve all the way into marriage, what does that imply about the inherent unreliability of relationship labels when true chemistry and emotional compatibility are present?
That's the big question, isn't it? When does trying to be sensible, trying to manage risk by avoiding commitment, actually become a disservice to your own potential happiness?
When do our self-imposed rules simply become barriers to the joy we might actually deserve? Something for you to mull over until the next time we take a deep dive into the sources.